Hi, my name is Isaiah Glenn Shields, if you're new here, and this is Walk America. It's the name of the video series that I'm uploading to YouTube because it documents my journey walking across America. This video is going to answer the most frequently asked questions that I receive while I've been walking, because that way I can just say, hey, I've got a video, and that'll be perfect. I've got some of the notes I've taken from a Facebook post I made. That's what I'll be referring to, but hopefully this way I can go into a little bit more detail, and I don't know, that's it. I don't have a script for this video. I just stopped walking for the day just now, and I just want to get this out quickly, so I'll probably make it a two-parter. This one, which I hopefully will cover a lot of them, the most common ones, and then I'll upload a second one with all the ones I missed or people have questions about since then. So, the most common question I get, I'm going to try to start with that, is definitely, are you really walking across America? Because they'll see this, and yes, I am really walking across America. 2, where did you start? Or something like that. Where are you coming from? I started in Provo, Utah, from my driveway. I own a house there, and shortly after I graduated from Brigham Young University, about 2 years after, I came up with this idea to walk, and then I just left. And I started from my driveway very unprepared and ill-equipped and had no idea what I was getting into, but I was excited, and I did feel like it was the right thing to be doing. In episode 1 of this series, you can go back and watch those moments I have on camera of those very first few footsteps I'd taken, and you can see how it kind of impacted me emotionally at the time. I'm going to be looking at this. Don't let that distract you. Where are you going? That's a common question. I did not walk from Provo, Utah to here, which is in Pennsylvania right now, in a straight line, to be understated. First, I did some research and I found that if you wanted to walk coast to coast, you could do so in approximately 2,400 miles from the southern coast of California to somewhere in the Atlantic Ocean in Florida. But the point wasn't to walk coast to coast. That was just some sort of random arbitrary structure. The point was to go on a really long walk. And so to sort of like point out the fact that I wasn't trying to do it at the shortest possible route, you know, the least east to the least west, or vice versa, I Googled what was the westernmost point of the entire continental United States and the easternmost point, and I figured I'd walk the widest longitudinal breadth of the continental United States because it was arbitrary, sounded fun, and it was just somewhere to sort of point my walking. The part I really like is just being out here in the day by day. It's not about finishing, it's about doing something that I really love with my time all the time. So I figured I wouldn't even want to start at one of those 2 points, which are respectively Cape Alava in Washington State in the Olympic Peninsula and the West Quoddy Head Lighthouse in Maine. Instead, I started from my driveway in Provo, Utah, walked to Cape Alava. That took about 3 months and 1,500 miles, and then turned around, hit Montana. It started to get a little cold, so I walked down to Texas. I hit Galveston on the Gulf of Mexico, and then I walked across to Florida, at which point I turned north after I hit around Destin and Seaside after going through like Pensacola, and I walked north along the coast kind of since then. I did hit the Atlantic Ocean already, technically, so I have hit the Pacific Ocean and the Atlantic Ocean all on foot already. But I was never going to just go to the Atlantic Ocean. That happened in South Carolina. And I'm in Pennsylvania. I think there's only like 600 or so miles left if you were to go in a straight shot from where I am to the West Quoddy Head Lighthouse, but I zigzag and I meander a lot. So that's why I haven't been walking for the last 2,400 miles or so. I've walked, as of today, something like 7,370 miles so far, and I've got a few more to go. We'll see. And when I hit Maine, this is to answer a future question, what are you going to do next? I really don't know. It depends on when I hit Maine. I might just turn around. I really, really, really like what I do every day. And it's been challenging, and there are days where I wrote poems, or whatever you want to call it, an ode maybe, to how miserable that day was, but it's just really adventurous and really fun, and I'm quite happy. So that's the real pursuit. I have taken to calling this trip an unusual pursuit of some variety of happiness based on that statement, the statement in the Declaration of Independence that says men are free to pursue happiness, or life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And I know this is sort of an unconventional way, but something about it resonated with me, and I just wanted to do it. And has proved to be something that has been tremendously satisfying. Why are you doing this? Even this format is such a hard question. I have other videos that sort of delve into that, but there's no charity. I didn't watch Forrest Gump. PSA, if you meet me, don't make that comparison. One, it's not horrible. Well, one, I've heard it 100,000 times by now. I get it. I get it. Two, I didn't watch it. I wasn't like watching and go, sounds fun. I'd seen it, but I was just sitting in my office one day when this idea came to me, and I just wanted to travel on foot and see things and grow as a person, and yeah. So there was no charitable like action. I'm not raising money for anything. Sometimes people do send me a little bit of money, like on Venmo or cash, but it just goes towards my ability to continue living as a human being and buying bread and the very, very occasional hotel. That answers a future question. Do you stay in hotels? Very rarely I have, during snowstorms or rainstorms or times where I hadn't showered in a month or something like that, but it's very rare. Generally, I have a tent in here, and that's what I've slept in, I don't know, maybe 90% of the time. Lately, there's been a little bit of buzz on Facebook. You can check that out at Isaiah Glenn Shields. I post on there like 5 or so times a day these days. And so I get a lot of offers for people that invite me to stay in their house, and that's been awesome. That's a transformation that only happened about a month ago, maybe a month and a half, out of the 15 or so months that I've been walking. That's another question. When did you start? May 13th, 2021, and today is August 18th, 2022. I did stop for a funeral of a friend right after Thanksgiving last year. I was in Kansas on my walk, and I heard that a friend had passed away. He'd been struck by a drunk driver, so I returned home to Utah. Unfortunately, my wallet had been stolen while I was in Washington, so I did have to take a train and 3 buses to get home, and it took like 3 days because I missed one of those buses, and Greyhound Bus Corporation should probably change a few of their policies on leaving early. I was early to the bus stop, but the bus had already left by 12 minutes. That's unexcusable. Anyway, and then I stayed home after his funeral until my little brother got married, because I was already home and his marriage was the next month. So I was home for about 6 weeks or so. Other than that, I've walked continuously. So I did skip all of December, but I walked in almost all of November, January, February, and every month except December 2021. Let me look up the next question. Finances. I saved up money. That's how I finance this. I didn't realize I was saving up money for this. I was just saving money for my future. And then that didn't really work out because I ended up using a lot of it. But I was employed as a corporate finance analyst prior to this life of just walking all day. And I saved up most of my money when I was employed for about 2 years. And then I had a cushion of money to use to fund this. And by and large, that's what I used for the first 14 or so months. Like I said, occasionally I'd just be walking down the street, people would see my cart, or maybe they'd seen my cart multiple days in a row if they kind of use the same route, and so they'd pull over and they go, "This is so cool. Here's $5 or $10 or $20 sometimes for really generous people." I've even got like a couple Benjamins, really crazy, generous people who just saw me, and that's awesome. But so I did have a little bit of that coming in, but it wasn't like enough to completely fund what I did. And so I tried to bootstrap it as much as I could, just trying to live as cheaply as possible. I mostly ate at McDonald's because you can always get free food on the app. I slept in a tent to avoid hotel expenditures, that kind of stuff. I haven't tracked how much I've spent on money. I do have I tried to use the same credit card all the time so I could look at the statements afterwards and see how much it ended up costing me, but that's what I was planning on doing after I finished walking, and I haven't done it yet. Lately, with a little bit of the buzz that's happened on Facebook and just some ball rolling type of stuff, my costs have dropped. So if you were to go, how can I do this? The last couple months haven't really been representative of what your normal journey would look like, because I've got a lot of people reaching out and they're just inspired by the journey, and so they'll invite me to lunch, and so my lunch costs, which is my biggest cost, arguably, has dropped to not very much, because I get a lot of nice people taking me out to lunch. So I'm not sure how to answer that question super well. I am falling in love with this lifestyle, so I'm trying to look for ways which I can continue to do it. My YouTube channel just did get monetized. At the amount of views I'm getting, I'd probably get like, I don't know, $5 a day. Pretty exciting. But seeing as I tried to survive on like $10 to $15 a day, that's not nothing. I also make a little bit of money on Facebook from Facebook, sort of like if I make stuff on YouTube, I make stuff on Facebook and they pay me depending on how well it performs. It's not a ton and it's recent, so anyway, I also just dropped some merchandise. I know, big deal, right? So if you want, you can check that out. I'll post a link in the description. It's pretty cool stuff. Shout out to my brother who we collaborate on like the design stuff, but he's doing all the behind the scenes work on that, and I appreciate his help. I'm gonna see how much time this has taken, and then I'm gonna restart it if it's not too long. All right, that was 11 minutes. It's 8:10, so we got 4 minutes to try and blitz out some of the real common ones, because I tend to use a lot of words and it's not necessary. But I'm just a very descriptive person, or maybe I think my life is so important that it deserves a lot of words, and that's just an ego thing, and I need to work on that. So I'm gonna go through a few that I've written here, and I'm gonna try and go fast. How many pairs of shoes have you walked through? Very common question. I'm on my 11th. I've tried a bunch of different brands, but right now I wear Hoka Bondi 7s, that's the brand and the model, and I think they're the best. That might be a me thing, like it's just my shoe or my foot that it works well with, but they do last a lot better than all the other brands I tried, and I probably tried like 4 or 5 others. Right now, you can read the post I made about it on Facebook, but I do have a lady I met just randomly in Spokane at a shoe store, and since then, which is over 5,000 miles ago, she's actually bought all my shoes for me. So that's another thing that makes the finance thing hard to predict what it would be for you if you wanted to do this, because she just reached out and said, I'm going to be your shoe lady. And thank you, Carrie, for doing that. Do the police ever stop you? Boy, do they ever. Yes. They're almost always very positive experiences. They're asking me if I need water. They're asking me if I need food. They're saying how cool this is. And most of the time, it's not them pulling me over. It's them receiving a call from dispatch from someone who called me in, because I'm walking down the side of the interstate in Montana, and people are like, this guy's definitely confused or drunk, or he stole someone's baby, or he's gonna wander in traffic because something's loose up here. And so they call in the police, and the police are at that point obligated to come check it out and do like a welfare check, I think they've called it. But they give me like pins and stickers. I've got some right there. I've got a bunch of them. They're really nice. With a few exceptions where they get kind of aggressive, it's mostly been really positive, and I really appreciate the fact that we live in a country where if you see something out of the ordinary, you can call and have it checked out in less than an hour, less than 20 minutes. That's pretty impressive, even though the many times I've been pulled over by the police have occasionally been, you know, a hurdle, an obstacle, or irritant that day. I understand where they're coming from, and I really respect what they do, and I appreciate them putting their lives on the line for us. So, good experiences. When are you going to reach Maine? I don't know. I don't plan out my days. A lot of people, when they do long distance stuff like this, it's like an endurance thing, and they try to mark out how many miles they're going to do. I'm not trying to say that as a blanket statement. I think that's probable or common. I didn't do any of that. I wake up every morning with no plan of where I'm going to go that evening. I'll have like a general idea, but I generally, like, the first thing I'll do when I wake up and like finish packing up is pull out Google Maps and go like, okay, where am I headed? I'll even pick like corridors like that on the fly. I do like a little bit, I do a little bit of like research ahead of time just to make sure there's no bottlenecks like bridges that I know I can't walk across, but as long as I like scan and see that everything's clear, I don't know what all the roads look like. And I do that like on the fly. How old are you? I'm 28 now. I'll be 29 in like 10 days or something, set 9. And I was 27 when I started, and it's awesome. Do you have any sponsors? No, because I don't have a very big following, and from a business point of view, it totally makes sense. What do you eat? Terrible things. I mostly eat McDonald's and Gushers and peanut M&Ms, and I love it like that. What's in the cart? A lot of little things. A tent, a sleeping bag, food, water. I think we're at our time mark, and I think my ride is here too. So I'm gonna watch this video, get all the stuff I didn't get in it, and then we're gonna make a part 2. So thanks for watching, and subscribe. Hi. Okay, so you guys remember the video that you just watched? You should be able to remember it. If you don't, that's concerning. I took that video right there, and now I'm right here. So I remember at the end of the video, it's like, my ride is here. You're like, wait a second, you're walking across the country and you're getting a ride? So much deception. That was just an old friend of mine. We knew each other in 2009, and except for 2 days ago, where she came down and helped me find a place at a friend's of hers, I hadn't seen her since then. And so she lived 6 miles down the road. And so when I got here and I was like, I could just camp for the night. She's like, just come to my house and you'll have a nice place to stay. She picked me up, went to her house for the night, slept there indoors, got a shower, all the excellent things. And then she dropped me back off this morning, and now I'm uploading the video. So I walk everywhere. If I get a ride, one of the stipulations that they have to understand is I want to ride back to exactly the same spot where I was dropped off or picked up. And she did drop me off at exactly the same spot over there. And now I'm just in the shade, but I walked here. So it's all legit. Thanks for watching. You're the best. There will be a part 2 soon. I know I missed a ton of questions, and but I didn't want it to go too long. And now I'm making that problem worse because I've been talking now for a minute and a half. The end.